Chapter 156 Cedric's Surrender. Your Majesty, Cedric is already in the castle, Gerald reminded. Maximus nodded and stood up. Put on my clothes, Maximus said, stretching his hands. Emma and Jane looked speechless at Maximus. Looking at the clothes scattered on the ground, they can tell they have automatic wearing capabilities. Faster, he urged. Since they were maids, he would treat them as such. Just wait a sec, Your Majesty, Jane said sarcastically. They were already familiar with Maximus, so Jane dared to be presumptuous. Good, follow me, Maximus motioned for the two to follow him. Castle's throne room. You're finally here, Your Majesty, Cedric said excitedly. Although he was already tier 6, he showed no arrogance towards Maximus. Especially now, he felt the amalgamation of will protecting Maximus. Without overwhelming power or the ability to disrupt the amalgamation of will. Maximus is invincible as long as he is within the Moonlight Empire. At ease. It seems that you have a lot to tell me. Looking at the haggard Cedric who seems to have lost everything, Maximus comforted him. Indeed it is, Cedric can curse those top empires as he wants. But their threat still lingered, making him unable to eat and sleep. Tell me what the problem is, Maximus said, while Emma and Jane served him snacks. It's the Wessel family, Cedric sighed. Wessel family? Maximus raised an eyebrow. He had been hearing a lot about the Wessel family since the beginning of his transmigration. He bought slaves from the Wessel family caravan. He also got into conflict with them when he conquered the entire Sunburnt Plateau. There is also an arranged marriage with Emma. Now, Cedric is also facing them? It seems that the Wessel family is quite notorious in this part of the cursed continent. Continue. Soon, Cedric began to tell the problems he encountered with the Wessel family, from threats to attacks. Yes, attacks. While Cedric was on his way here, the Wessel family destroyed one of his bases to show that they were serious. I see, that's really a problem, Maximus sighed, sympathizing with Cedric. This Wessel family is really hateful. Emma exclaimed, listening to the story. You should be careful with them, Jane advised. These are? Oh, these are my exclusive maids, Maximus smiled, giving Cedric a knowing glance. I see, Cedric understood. These two beauties really had a different aura. Their movements and temperament didn't resemble those of maids. Cedric thought that they were only playing some games. About your problem, have you thought about what to do? Maximus asked. I'd like to officially work under the Empire, Cedric expressed his thoughts. Oh? Maximus smiled. He had been thinking of a way to persuade Cedric to join his empire. After all, the navy and sea caravans of the Moonlight Empire were still lacking. They could only rely on outsiders for external matters, which posed a risk in the long run. Are you sure? After working with me, there's no turning back. Although Maximus needed Cedric, he's not that desperate. Maximus always prioritizes loyalty above all else. Of course, loyalty here means signing a contract, not relying on feelings. Yes, I'm willing to follow His Majesty for 1,000 years, as Cedric said, stating his term. It seems that you misunderstand. What I mean by no backing out is that once you follow me, it will be for a lifetime. Impossible. Cedric hurriedly said. He thought that no backing out meant he would work under Maximus regardless of life and death, not for a lifetime. A lifetime was no joke. He'd rather surrender to the Wessel family than work for Maximus for a lifetime. With his lifespan approaching 1,000,000 years, 1,000 years was just a blink of an eye. If the Wessel family didn't covet his wealth, he was more than willing to work for them. What's wrong? Although working for a lifetime seems like a disadvantage, I'm quite generous. What kind of generosity? Cedric said with a stern tone. First, I will pay 10 times the price for the people you brought here. Pay? I can still be paid? Cedric was shocked. He thought that after working with Maximus, there would be no profit. At most, he would be given a salary. Otherwise, how can you work? Maximus understood that without sufficient rewards, enthusiasm for the work would be low. He could certainly force his subordinates to accept minimum pay. But that would only slow things down and might even cause chaos. Besides, money meant little to him. Second, you can borrow an unlimited amount of money with no interest as long as it's used reasonably. You can also borrow? Cedric looked at Maximus intently. Although he could borrow money from the Ethereum Gold Chamber of Commerce, the interest rates were painful. Furthermore, there was a limit, which was 100 billion low magic crystals. Third, that is protection. Maximus urged one of the Tier 8 puppets hidden in the castle. What the dash? Cedric was dumbfounded looking at the puppet in front of him. Just feeling the pressure made him almost kneel down. Emma and Jane were also dumbfounded, too scared to speak.
How is it?
Maximus smiled. Each of these puppets cost him 10 billion low magic crystals in the system. These puppets were scattered throughout the kingdom, costing him a few hundred billion magic crystals. Of course, this was not something he could afford. He borrowed money from the Origin Arcana Institute. As of now, he was 1 trillion low magic crystals in debt. Fortunately, it was interest-free and he could pay it off anytime he wanted. As for the protection of his wives and children, it was also a Tier 8 protection amulet. However, in the future, he planned to buy Tier 9 protection amulets. But that cost at least 10 trillion low magic crystals each. To equip all his wives and children, he needed a few hundred trillion. Unfortunately, the magnitude of a trillion and hundreds of trillions differed vastly. He could still borrow a trillion with no effort. But to borrow hundreds of trillions, he needed to pass some trials to prove his worth. Also, the thing with borrowed money was that when you used it, there was no discount. So his 99.9% discount was useless. As for how it was implemented, it was done with just a simple contract. It took a while for the others to calm down. The Tier 8 puppet had already returned to hiding and they breathed a sigh of relief. Have you decided? Maximus asked, seeing that they had calmed down. That is Your Majesty serious about these benefits? Cedric confirmed. After all, it seemed that Maximus had just offered more benefits to himself rather than Cedric becoming a subordinate. Of course, it's 100% true, Maximus assured. However, to receive these benefits, you will also have to give up something.
What is it?
Cedric gulped. Your freedom. From now on, you will follow every word I say without question. You will work as I say. You will eat as I say. Your very life will be mine, Maximus exaggerated. Can I think this through? Cedric asked nervously. He still remembered the Tier 8 puppet that could kill him at any time.
What do you think?
Maximus gave a smile. After Cedric saw the puppet, his fate was already sealed. He had no choice but either to submit or die. As for the betrayal of Emma and Jane, it wouldn't happen with him watching them all the time. Cedric and the Starsea traders will gladly serve Your Majesty. Cedric kneeled on one knee as he proclaimed. Since Cedric had no choice, he would go all out. Anyway, the benefits Maximus offered were very tempting. He would still own the Starsea trading, all the profit and transaction was his. The only difference was that his freedom was gone.
That's good.
From now on, you and the Starsea traders will officially join the Moonlight Empire, Maximus declared. A few days later, in the Sunsea region, a grand formation of ships was sailing through the currents. I didn't think that I would come here, Cedric sighed as he looked at the sea. From now on, I belong to the Moonlight Empire. Thinking of his first mission, he couldn't help but smile. Maximus asked him to conquer the entire Sunsea region. Cedric needed to transport all the people here into Moonlight Empire. Maximus didn't need these extra land. The Sunburnt Plateau is more than enough to accommodate such a population. First, expand the caravan. Cedric estimated that there were at least a few trillion people living in the Sunsea region. With the current capacity of his fleet, he could only transport hundreds of millions of people per month. Fortunately, Maximus gave him a 300 billion budget to expand his fleet. Thus, his first destination was Elnar Island, which served as the junction between the Cursed Continent and the Arcane Continent. Cedric needed to buy ships there. Maximus had already ordered ships from the Arcane Continent, which would be delivered to Elnar Island. As for transporting directly through the Moonlight Empire, it was troublesome. Furthermore, Cedric also needed to hire sailors, so getting the ships in Elnar Island was more efficient. After all, it was the biggest hub where adventurers from all over the world gathered. I hope everything will be alright. Chapter 157 New Mommies. City of Arcana Teleportation Array. After finishing his business with Cedric, he returned with Emma and Jane. Is this the Arcane Continent? Emma whispered longingly. The energy here is so pure and dense, Jane added. They had never felt such an overwhelming amount of mana in their lives. If it were not for Maximus urging them, they would have stopped and trained on the spot. This is the center of the Arcane Continent, so it naturally has the most abundant mana. Oh, will we really live here? Emma asked to confirm if she was dreaming. You're here to serve me, not to have fun.
Tisk, no fun.
Jane complained at such a killjoy. Let's go, there's still a lot for you to do. Yes, master, they said sarcastically. Maximus Manor. Wow, is this your home? Emma asked, amazed. You're quite rich to afford this place, Jane muttered. Although they didn't know much about the arcane continent. But since this place was the center of the continent, the land price would surely skyrocket. It's free, Maximus replied as he entered inside.
Free?
Is this the benefit of being a student in the most prestigious establishment in the arcane continent? No, it's a privilege of a core student, Maximus said as he sat down.
Core student?
They still didn't understand the ranking system of the Origin Arcana Institute. Maximus explained the ins and outs of this matter. Awesome, I didn't expect that a pervert like you is so talented, Jane gave a thumbs up. How is it? Not bad for being your master, right? Not bad, Emma unconsciously nodded. No, it's very bad, Emma hurriedly corrected. I didn't expect you to already succumb to your destiny, Emma. Jane teased. Truthfully, they weren't really against being Maximus maids. In fact, they somehow enjoyed it. I'm glad you like being my maids.
What about the thing I mentioned earlier? Have you considered it?
Maximus asked. Earlier?
What is it?
Emma asked. About warming my bed. Emma didn't know whether to agree or not. Don't be fooled by him, we will not warm your bed. Jane refuted. Oh, but it's the main responsibility of a maid.
At least let us prepare.
Jane compromised. They had no other choice, they were captives now. They didn't know when Maximus would lose patience and force them. Ha ha ha, I'm Dolkim. Take your time, I'm not in a hurry. So you still want us to warm your bed? Jane rolled her eyes. While Maximus, Emma, and Jane were filtering, the door opened. Husband. His wives greeted him as they pounced on him. Welcome home. Looking at the sweet interaction between them, Emma and Jane grew somewhat jealous. But they quickly buried their feelings, reminding themselves that they were now maids. Who are these two, husband? It's my exclusive maids, Maximus said, winking at them.
Oh, maids, huh?
They just rolled their eyes at their husband's antics. What maids? Everything in this house is fully automated, from the simplest cleaning to all-around services. It can be said that this place is autonomous. Hello, nice to meet you, I'm Emma. I'm Dane. Hello, feel yourself at home, Erica said. Yes, don't listen to our husband, he talks a lot of nonsense, Hazel added. The others also greeted. After Maximus brought them here, they were already sure that they would become one of their sisters. Even Denise, who often came here with Emma, was the same. He only question was time, after all, without enough strength, it would just be a dream. A while later. While they were talking and laughing with each other, as the other prepared dinner, the kids came home. Dad. We're here. Lila yelled. Mommy, you're also here. Serene said. The others also greeted them as they sat down, waiting for food. Are you our new mommies? Syra asked sweetly. And no, we're not, Emma said, blushing. You're cute, Jane didn't reply as she hugged Syra. Mommy? Syra asked again. I'll be your mommy from now on. Jane couldn't help but say. Mommy. Syra said, kissing her.
Jane?
I'll be the mommy of this baby, not the wife of that scumbag. Jane explained. Mommy, I'm Syra, and Daddy is not a scumbag, Syra pouted as she defended.
Oh, so it's baby Syra.
Don't worry, your father is not a scumbag, Jane said softly. Syra smiled and kissed her again. Maximus, who saw this, smiled strangely. It seems cute children's offense is effective, he thought. Amara, who was watching from the side, unconsciously pinched Liam. What? Oh, nothing. I just thought of pinching you, Amara rolled her eyes. Weird woman, Liam thought, not understanding Amara's action. Soon, the food was ready. It's time to eat, Erica said in the kitchen. A month later, in the Wessel Empire. How is the sea caravan I told you about? Emperor Khan asked. He is the ruler of the Wessel Empire, a Tier 6 individual. A month ago, he asked his subordinates to conquer the Sun Sea region. Coincidentally, the Star Sea traders had already conquered the place, which made it easier. Negative, Your Majesty. The people we sent didn't come back, the advisor said.
They didn't come back?
Khan frowned. It seems that the Sunsea region is more chaotic than I thought, Khan sighed. He thought that other empires also had their hands on the Sunsea region. After all, it's where the initiator of the era of imperial domination resided. Based on the records. Although all those who started the era of imperial domination died in the end. More or less they had something unique that could trigger the start of war. Also, it seems that the leader of the sea caravan, Cedric, joined the Moonlight Empire. The advisor said.
It's as expected, Khan said calmly.
Originally, he thought that with the power and reputation of the Wessel family he could recruit Cedric. It seems like the Emperor of the Moonlight Empire had something more to offer. Your Majesty, this is the message sent by Prince Ivan when recruiting Cedric, the advisor said, showing the message. The advisor knew that this was the reason why they failed to hire Cedric. Khan raised an eyebrow as he read the message. It seems that the royal family needs some cleaning, Khan frowned. Usually, he didn't care about the corruption in his empire as long as everything ran smoothly. But at an important junction, a prince from who knows where dared to be greedy. Elder Vince, I will leave it to you, Khan motioned to the man standing beside him. Yes, Your Majesty, Vince bowed. Although Vince was tier 7, he had no slightest air of pride about him. Being the emperor of a big family where tier 8 individuals resided was not simple. Overwhelming talent was just the bare minimum. Especially now, due to the amalgamation of wills, Khan was invincible. Unless it was another emperor or at least a tier 8 individual, nothing could hurt him.
Don't let me down, Khan said, nodding.
Allocate more resources toward the Sunsea region. Make sure not to engage in a fight. Kill whoever disobeys, Khan ordered his advisor.
Yes, Your Majesty.
3 months later, Shadowhunter City. The teleportation array is finally finished, Maximus muttered as he exited the portal. It's more troublesome to set up a teleportation array in the origin domain, boss, Andrew, the vice-guild leader, explained. Anyhow, we're here. Let's see how the city is being developed, Maximus said. This is the free land given to him by the Origin Arcana Institute. Although the teleportation array was not finished during these past couple of months. His guild members traveled physically and helped build the foundation here. Maximus walked as Andrew introduced him to the place. Boss, this is the Origin Converter, our base's main energy supply. Although the Origin domain had the densest mana, it could only be used in training. To use it for other things, it needed to be converted. Of course, you could also use crystallized mana like magic crystals. This is the universal processor, the building block of all materials. Unfortunately, it's only tier 6, Andrew said, hoping Maximus would allocate more budget. The universal processor, as mentioned, is an automatic processor that can turn raw materials into any building block ready for use. I don't have any more money, Maximus sighed. The trillion he borrowed was mostly used for the development of his empire. Currently, he only had a few billion on hand, which was reserved for emergencies. Sigh, we can only wait until we earn income. Andrew sighed. He understood that the guild was still not making profits. All the expenses are covered by their guild leader. They were even amazed that Maximus was able to pay them. Boss, this is the integrated workshop facility. Unfortunately, it's not yet finished, otherwise, we could make something to sell. This is the shipbuilding facility, boss. After the ship's blueprint is finished, we can instantly start to work. This is the integrated compound for all the people who will come to Shadowhunter City. This is Chapter 158 Tier 5 Lunar Night. After Andrew introduced all the facilities, they came outside to visit the city resources. Setting up a city is not just about settling in but also about the resources it offers. Otherwise, why bother setting up a city? Currently, we already reinforced thousands of Tier 1 to 4 resource points. There are also hundreds of Tier 5 resource points. As for Tier 6 resource points, we have only reinforced less than 10. For Tier 7 and above, we are too weak to have access. It's good enough, Maximus praised lightly. These resource points serve as land reserves for training people, much like a copy in a game. Each resource point corresponds to various dangers and benefits. This is where all the resources have come from. From the most common Tier 0 material to the highest Tier 9 materials. Maximus didn't own these resource points, he only had the right to manage them. Each resource point had corresponding protection from the continental array. Getting resources out of your tier is not possible. For example, in Tier 1 resource point, as he was already Tier 4, he was not eligible to enter and obtain resources. He needed to challenge Tier 4 resource points to reap any rewards. As for the reinforcement that Andrew mentioned, it involves placing various teleportation pockets inside the resource points. These teleportation pockets can directly connect to the city's teleportation array. It ensures the safety of people who challenge the resource points. Operating these arrays alone is profitable, although people do not need to pay to enter these resource points. If they are in danger and need to use these teleportation pockets, they need to pay a large sum of money. This is where the main income comes from. Now that the teleportation array is finished, you can start advertising the city.
Right away, boss.
3 months later, Maximus opened his eyes as he stopped training. During these months, nothing noteworthy had happened, and all things were proceeding in an orderly fashion. Shadow Hunter City had begun its operation, with people from all over the origin domain coming to the city. While people were free to go to any resource points, most of them prioritized safety and convenience. Currently, Shadow Hunter City has at least hundreds of thousands of people coming and going everywhere. This led to the city's revenue skyrocketing from negative figures to hundreds of millions of low-grade crystals per day, all of which were used for the city's construction. Let's see the result of my training, Maximus muttered as he opened his panel. Maximus Shadowcrest. Soul Tier 4 Elemental Mage Level 1. Body Tier 5 Lunar Knight Level 1. Soul Amplitude 3474. Soul Will 381. Life Points 16,517. Potential Points 14,522. Condensed Soul Path 425 elements. 1118 types of Tier 3 spells, initial 113 billion/165 billion. Just a few more months or a year and I'll reach Tier 5, Maximus exclaimed in excitement. Reacher Tier 5 Lunar Knight didn't provide much help, besides strengthening his foundation. With his current 425 elemental soul path, crushing an ordinary Tier 6 was no problem. The reason for his rapid progress was the amalgamation of will. As his empire's population became stronger and larger, initially, when he converted the daily amalgamation he received, it was only about 1 million points. Amalgamation of will became more potent. Initially, when he converted the daily amalgamation he received, it was only about 1 million points. Now, after a little less than a year, it had reached 2 million points. This increase was due to the Moonlight Empire's population, which had doubled to over 2 billion in just a year. Unfortunately, during the past 3 months, Cedric hadn't transported any population. He was still organizing the Starsea traders and recruiting sailors. Maximus expected that after the reorganization, Cedric could deliver 1 billion people per month. The Moonlight Empire officials were also preparing for this endeavor. After all, settling 1 billion population per month was not an easy task. If it weren't for this problem, Maximus would dare to upscale the budget, hoping to transport at least 10 billion population per month. A month later, good news arrived.
Husband, I have the baby,
Isabella said excitedly.
Really?
Ha ha ha, feel the life force, husband. Isabella laughed as she placed her husband's hand on her belly. It really is, Maximus smiled in relief. It had been more than 8 months since they had tried the conception method. Maximus had even bought all kinds of supplements to hasten the child's conception. It's not easy, he sighed. It was only their 12th child, but it was already this hard. What more for the subsequent ones? But it's kind of weird, it seems that various laws are intertwining with the baby, Maximus muttered. Condensing hundreds of elemental soul paths had made him sensitive to all kinds of energy. It should be the methods taught by Madame Hina. Indeed, Maximus didn't see anything wrong with these energies. Instead, he felt the nurturing as if conceiving a treasure. However, it seems that we will have to wait at least 3 years before the baby is born. That's fine, I can wait, Isabella said, rubbing her belly. Is it a new sister? Serene asked, touching Isabella's tummy. Yes, it should be a sister, Asira agreed immediately. It must be a brother, sisters are no fun, Sam chimed in. Yeah, sisters are troublesome, Luke said. Sisters are cute too, and silent. Neo, who was half asleep, thought. He didn't like brothers as they were too lively and disturbed his sleep. Emma and Jane, who were watching the scene, looked longingly. They also wanted a warm family. The warm touch and affection seemed to melt them. Looking at Maximus, they couldn't help but be moved. Anyway, staying with this scumbag is fun and reassuring, Jane thought. Maximus should be suitable, Emma thought. Emma and Jane locked eyes as if seeing each other's thoughts. They blushed and looked away. By the way, it seems that your graduation test is tomorrow, Maximus remembered.
That's right, Dad.
Max nodded. How are your preparations? Everything is ready, I just don't know how strong our opponents will be this time, as Sam said, clenching his teeth. With all the training in the virtual world, we are already super strong. Luke added.
That's good, keep it up.
Once you accumulate enough points in the test, you can automatically enroll.
That's easy, Dad, just 8 more years, and then we'll be like Mommy.
Layla said. With 10 passes, they could automatically enroll in the Origin Arcana Institute without any trials and become seekers. Oh, how time flies, Liam thought as he listened to their words. It had been a year since Amara had been living with them. Looking at Amara, Liam couldn't help but reach out for her hand. What do you want? Amara whispered, embarrassed that others might see her. Nothing, your hand is just too comfortable to hold. Cheeky mouth, Amara muttered to herself and pinched Liam. Do you think you can pass the test? Liam asked as he pretended to get hurt. Heh, don't underestimate this girl, Amara said proudly. With her talent, she had already surpassed Liam by miles. However, she often held back to avoid hurting Liam's feelings. There was even one time in a combat exercise when she faked an accident, hoping to have Liam save her. Thinking about it made her blush harder. All right, as long as you're careful, leave everything to me. Maximus, seeing all this interaction, smiled a little. He couldn't help but wish they could get married immediately, but unfortunately, they were still too young. A few more years. In the fringe of the arcane continent. /*. How close? Alistair breathed heavily as he nearly died. Alistair was the brother of Amara who had left to pursue his training. This should be enough to exchange for training materials. Without any backing, Alistair had to do everything himself. Fortunately, with his memory and talent, it was quite easy. I wonder how my sister is doing. Alistair thought of Amara. After receiving his epic of memories, he didn't really have any affection toward some brat. He only thought of repaying this little sister of his sometime in the future. In Curse Continent, Arinder Empire.
How is the news about Emma?
Emperor Akash asked. Emma was an important piece in their alliance with the Wessel family. However, months had passed. Yet, there was still no news about their return, so he couldn't help but be worried. Your Majesty, it seems that the ruler of Moonlight Empire took a liking to Princess Emma and kidnapped her, the advisor said. What? Akash was a little shocked, not expecting such a turn of events. Who knew that a ruler of an empire would engage in such activities as kidnapping?
With their stature, what women could they not get?
It seems that this emperor is a bit of a womanizer. Akash thought as he tapped his chair. Nothing could happen to Emma, as she was a bargaining chip for the family alliance. Go send an envoy to negotiate terms. You have to get Emma at all costs, Akash ordered. As ordered, Your Majesty. Chapter 159 Love Development. The next day, at the Lumina Chrysalis Guild Testing Center. Good luck on your test, Maximus said before the Grade 1 test started. Don't worry, Dad. This is nothing, Luke comforted. I hope they're ready for our new combined technique, Sam bragged, patting Neo. What about me? Don't bother me with your crazy styles. Neo said tiredly. His brothers, Sam and Luke, had been developing some crazy styles that made his heart tired. Just be careful, Maximus patted Serene and Syra. A while later, the test began. Death race. Mission, reach the end of the track before the time limit. Preparation time, 3 hours.
Time, 30 minutes. Oh, it's a racing game.
Sam exclaimed while reading about the test. This is fun, Luke added, looking at all kinds of materials laid on the floor. Running alone wouldn't be enough to reach the end of the track. They needed to create something, whether it's an alchemy device or a mechanical one.
What should we create? I like wings.
Serene said. I prefer a cloud nimbus. Syra countered. But wings are more beautiful. Then you make your own, I like mine, Syra said, turning her back. Fine, I will prove that wings are more beautiful. They completely forgot that it was a free-for-all race with the sole goal of reaching the finish line before time ran out. Brother, let's see who can create a more powerful machine.
Sam challenged Luke. Hey, then let me show you why they call me Mr. Machinist.
Luke bragged.
Isn't that what you just called yourself?
Sam rolled his eyes. Whatever, Luke said as he started to work. Neo, who was still sleepy, looked around, thinking of what to create. This is too troublesome. Neo's brain began to scan and process all kinds of materials lying around. After a few minutes, his brain started to hurt. This was an ability acquired by Neo. It seemed that as long as he liked, he could overdrive his brain to process all kinds of information quickly and efficiently. I got it, Neo muttered and lazily started to work. 3 hours later. Death race.
1, 2, 3, start. Let's go.
The brothers and sisters got on their created vehicle and started to race.
Ha ha ha, this is fun.
Sam laughed loudly as he accelerated without care.
Watch out.
Luke warned as he fired an anti-interference strike. Damn, so hateful. Why can't we just race? Sam muttered as he was almost struck just now.
Sisters, you should come behind us.
Luke said to Serene and Syra. As for Neo, he was still leisurely, as if not seeing the attack. As minutes passed, various attacks came from different directions. The people at the back didn't even bother to aim and just fired at whoever was in front. This resulted in various damage to their vehicles. Even their sisters on the back almost got hit.
Sam, it's time.
Soon, the two machines combined, encapsulating both of them.
Sisters, come inside.
Samrid. All right, Serene and Syra didn't waste time, quickly getting inside the combined vehicle.
Neo, what are you doing? It's time.
Don't tell me you didn't add this module? Fine, just wait, Neo replied lazily. Neo's vehicle combined and formed like a backpack turbo for the machine. Hee hee, the fun begins. Luke and Sam looked at each other and pressed the red button.
Fire behind.
The combined vehicles spouted out a blazing fire. It disintegrated all that was behind them and boosted the vehicle to a new speed.
Pass the test.
Grade 2 test.
Tag team.
Win 10 consecutive times. Time limit, 1 hour. It looks like it's a two-person team, O'Lily muttered.
Let's team up, big sister.
Lila said. All right.
Max, let's team up.
Nathan asked. A dash.
He's mine today.
Ella grabbed Max's shoulder before he could respond. It looks like it's just the two of us, brother Liam. Nathan turned to Liam.
This dash.
Liam, what are you dawdling about? We don't have all day, Amara nagged.
Brother, good luck.
Liam patted his shoulder and got out. Straight face. Brother, there's still me. Lydia grabbed Nathan's hand, just like a life-saving straw. Little sister. You don't like little sister, brother?
No, how can I hate my cute sister?
Nathan smiled.
Then let's go.
Lydia dragged Nathan to look for an opponent. Lily and Lila tag team. Big sister, let's fight those big-looking guys.
You're into big guys, huh?
No, I just like the way it sounds when I hit them with a punch. Lila waved her little fist.
Oh.
The two walked toward their opponents, challenging them.
Hey, dare to fight, big guys?
Lily invited.
Huh? Two little missies?
Ha ha ha, the first victory is here.
Come, the stage is just here.
The two mocked Lily and Lila while showing off their muscles. They didn't know the notoriety of the two, so they dared to be presumptuous.
Look, bro, they're trembling.
You'd better surrender quickly, little missy, so as not to get hurt. The one who was trembling was Lila due to excitement.
Fight begins.
Without saying a word, Lila quickly dashed toward the nearing opponent and sent a punch.
Thud.
Huh?
So weak?
Lila looked disappointed as the opponent was quickly sent flying. You're next. Although disappointed, she still fought excitedly. As for Lily, she just watched from the sideline. Lila, finish it quickly, we only have 1 hour, Lily said, yawning out of boredom.
You.
The remaining opponent looked indignant as he was being played by this little missy. Or a little barbarian, should he say. Unfortunately, there is a time limit. Anyway, bye-bye, little mister.
Thud.
Nathan and Lydia tag team. Who should we fight, brother? Whoever, anyway, it's all the same. Oh? Is it all the same? How about you fight us? You? Sure, Nathan looked bored as he led Lydia to the nearest stage.
Hee hee, arrogant kid. PSH, maybe just some spoiled brat?
The two laughed it off and followed them to the stage.
Fight begins.
As soon as the fight started, Nathan disappeared out of thin air, leaving Lydia alone.
Hey, it looks like your brother made you the bait. No.
Free Spirit Vine Forest. The stage quickly transformed into a jungle made of vines suitable for an assassin.
It's up to you, brother.
Lydia murmured. In the shadows, Nathan looked at Lydia with satisfaction. As expected of my sister. Slash.
Hiss close. Be careful, it's an assassin.
Slash.
Huh.
A blade gushing with power appeared. Slash. A cut to the face. Slash. A cut to the back. It seemed like they were dancing on the edge of a blade. As long as their minds wandered even a little, a wound would suddenly appear. Slash.
Damn.
Unfortunately for them, the stage was already set. They were already trapped beasts ready to be slaughtered. Slash. A head fell to the ground. I don't want it anymore, I give up. The remaining opponent, clearly frightened, cried out.
Fight 1. Let's go, sister.
Nathan dragged Lydia away, not even glancing at his terrified opponent.
Maxen elatek team. What has gotten into you today? You're so clingy.
Max complained, still remembering his embarrassment with Nathan. He and Nathan had been inseparable since they were young. It's only lately that Ella has been pulling him everywhere, causing him to separate from his brother.
What do you mean? You don't like me?
Ella looked aggrieved.
Ooh, no?
Hee hee, then that's fine. Ella immediately changed her expression faster than flipping a book. Well, look who's here, it's the witch. As they were walking, Ella met her rival in love.
What witch? It's you? You always hog my Max.
A girl said, grabbing Max's arm. Bertha, stop talking. Max said. This girl had recently become obsessed, always following him everywhere.
Let go of my teammate, you witch.
Ella said, dragging Max back. Looking at the two fighting, he sighed. Troublesome.
What about we fight?
The winner gets to own Max? Bertha said excitedly. No, Max is mine alone, Ella quickly defended. But Max isn't yours. No, he is.
Then let's fight.
If you lose, you are not worthy of Max, and you should leave quickly. Bertha provoked. Fine. Max and Bertha's partner looked at each other with a sigh. A little while later.
How about now? As I said, Max is mine.
Ella said proudly, looking at the disgraced Bertha. Max, look, that little Amazonian bullied me. Bertha looked at him pitifully.
Don't look at that witch anymore, let's go.
Ella dragged Max out. I'm sorry, Max apologized, he was no match for this little Amazonian either. Liam and Amara tag team. The two had already won 10 consecutive victories, so they were resting. Liam's strength and Amara's timely assistance made their opponents lose in less than 10 seconds.
By the way, Amara, what do you plan to do in the future?
Huh?
Why ask?
I don't know, just asking. Oh, I don't know what I plan to do in the future. I just want to stay with you, I guess? That's a good plan, Liam thought. By the way, do you have any news about your brother? No, there's been no news since he left. Amara said sadly. Don't worry, there's still me. Liam put his hand on her shoulder. Really, will you be here with me all the time? Amara looked expectantly. As long as you don't push me away, I'll always be here. Chapter 160 Food Heaven City. A month later, in the Moonshadow City.
Send the envoy in.
Yes, Your Majesty. Maximus was here because the envoy of the Arinder Empire had come to him. It seems that they put more importance on Emma than I thought. Soon the envoy came in. I bring greetings and respects from the esteemed ruler of the Arinder Empire to Your Majesty. Tell me why you have come here. It's about Princess Emma, Your Majesty. My empire needs Princess Emma for a greater cause. Your Majesty is welcome to give any conditions, the envoy said respectfully. Oh? Anything? How about your empire becoming my subordinate? Maximus teased. You're kidding, Your Majesty, the envoy seemed to not hear the joke and asked again. There is no need to negotiate about Emma, I'll never give her back to you, Maximus said seriously. Can you think about it again, Your Majesty? The envoy said with a hint of threat.
No, my decision is final.
Instead, let's talk about cooperation.
Cooperation? Yes, that's right.
I heard the Arinder Empire is short of money.
This?
Indeed, the Arinder Empire was short of money, a lot of it. Otherwise, why would they ally themselves with the notorious Wessel family? Wasn't it just for money? I just need population, and the money is yours. For every Tier 1 individual you bring, I can pay 100 magic crystals. For Tier 2, 1,000, for Tier 3, 10,000, and for Tier 4, 1,000,000. Of course, they will not be slaves. My empire doesn't need slaves, they just need to live here for 100 years, and they are free to go.
This?
The offer Maximus made was very tempting. Normally, a Tier 1 slave only costs 1 magic crystal, but Maximus multiplied it by 100. Furthermore, they wouldn't be slaves, so they wouldn't bear the notorious reputation. I will faithfully pass this to my esteemed ruler, the envoy said. He couldn't decide on these matters, otherwise he would be betraying his empire. Then you may go. Maximus didn't hold him any longer. He had gotten to know about the Arinder Empire through Emma. The reason why the empire was in decline was because of a lack of money. As one of the top empires, a shortage of funds should be a non-existent problem. However, their main business, the money-making cornucopia of the Arinder family in the Arcane Continent, had been suppressed. Emma had said that their Tier 8 ancestor seemed to have offended someone. Now their territory in the Cursed Continent could barely support itself due to the lack of money. If it were not for the era of imperial domination, they would have already left this money-losing empire. After all, the benefits of an empire in the Cursed Continent were not that significant. Furthermore, they could just establish an empire again after stabilizing their business in the Arcane Continent. As for helping them? It was just a matter of convenience. He needed high-quality people at the moment. After all, high-quality individuals would strengthen the amalgamation of willpower without adding a burden to the empire. Furthermore, he can't just rely on Cedric, as it would be limiting. A month later, at the Sunburnt Plateau, in Barren City, tens of thousands of gigantic ships lay across the ocean, a marvel to the people in the port.
Good job, Cedric.
I didn't think you could settle the sea caravan so fast, Maximus praised. It's because of your support, Your Majesty, as Cedric didn't dare to take the credit.
It's good enough.
Originally, Maximus thought it would take at least a year for Cedric to settle the sea caravan. This was also the reason he sought cooperation with the Arinder Empire. Who knew that it only took Cedric half a year? Your Majesty, may I request an advance payment?
Cedric asked.
The 300 billion Maximus gave him was already spent. Expanding the sea caravan to be able to transport 1 billion people per month was not cheap. There were also various wages he needed to consider. Maximus and he only had an employer-employee relationship, meaning all his profits and expenses were his. In exchange, he needed to listen to Maximus and work for him for a lifetime.
Sure, I will transfer you some money later.
That's good, Your Majesty. I will ensure that 1 billion people come here a month later. The reason he needed the money urgently was that his previous solicitation would not work. This time he planned to throw money to attract people so he could achieve his goal quickly. Otherwise, it would be too slow to reach them one by one. Then I look forward to next month.
At the Arinder Empire. How was your trip to the Moonlight Empire?
Emperor Akash asked. Your Majesty, I wasn't able to negotiate about Princess Emma. The envoy then began to recount all that had happened.
Cooperation?
They were really short on money, not for the empire itself but to stabilize their business in the Arcane Continent. Without money, forget about winning in the era of imperial domination. They couldn't even stabilize the empire.
It should be feasible.
Akash fell into thought. There may not be much money in his empire, but there were a lot of people, especially those from Tier 1 to Tier 2. There were hundreds of billions of them scattered across the empire. As for weakening the influence of the amalgamation of will, Akash didn't worry. The influence of the amalgamation of will was already at its maximum. There were 4 methods of strengthening the amalgamation of will: land, population, overall strength, and war. For land, population, and overall strength, there was a limit and all of the top empires had already reached it. Then you should start listing people and remember, it must be voluntary. Akash reminded. Too much dissatisfaction would affect the amalgamation of will or even pollute it. As ordered, Your Majesty. A month later. Is this the Moonlight Empire? Stefan muttered. Dad, will we live here in the future? His daughter, Zoe, asked excitedly. Yes, we will live here in the future, Stefan said solemnly. He and his daughter had come here not only to escape the war and chaos caused by the era of imperial domination, but more importantly for his daughter's future. As a Tier 3 mage, he had a private talent detection crystal. After his daughter was born, he quickly tested her talent. To his surprise, his daughter had an overwhelming rank 8 potential. He didn't dare to publicize this matter and quickly hid it. Initially, he had planned to send her quickly to the Arcane Continent. But his wife seemed to have made an enemy in the Arcane Continent and forbade him from going. Now, upon hearing about the Moonlight Empire, he hurriedly registered to come here. He had heard that there was once a student with rank 8 talent who had studied here. Furthermore, the said student was directly sent to the highest establishment in the Arcane Continent. Its Amara, the detection crystal Maximus used, had a hidden program that downgraded detected talent if it reached rank 9. He figured that by sending his daughter to study here, he could send her directly to the Arcane Continent.
Dad, hurry, we would be drowned in the crowd,
Zoe said hurriedly. Right. Stefan snapped out of his stupor and looked at the sea of people. 1 billion people in one place was no joke. If it weren't for the various people below who kept things orderly, many people would die just from being trampled. Coming down, he was led toward one of the registration booths.
Stay in line, follow this mark.
Don't be idle, walk orderly.
Hey you.
Don't think about stealing, otherwise, you will be downgraded to a paymentless worker. No molesting either, we are civilized people.
Don't crowd, keep 1 meter apart.
Various shouts filled the air, making the place lively. Soon, Stefan and his daughter quickly registered and escaped the sea of people.
Where do we live, Zoe?
Stefan asked, looking at the list of cities.
Can I choose?
Zoe asked excitedly. Of course, Stefan handed her the list.
What is this?
A city made of food? Zoe quickly spotted an eye-catching city. Food Heaven City? Stefan took a look. Food Heaven City was a tourist city in the Moonlight Empire. The city was filled with various arrays to keep everything hygienic and safe. As for the food, it was created non-stop. Just maintaining such a city required thousands of Tier 3 gastronomists working daily. They were hired by Maximus from the Arcane Continent. Anyway, it was cheap and his wives and children liked to visit such places.
Dad, look, it's so yummy just looking at those buildings.
Stefan was a little stumped. Even the entrance fee alone could consume some people's entire budget for a lifetime. Looking at the price for just a day of accommodation made him hesitate. This place wasn't suitable for living at all. Even the entrance fee alone could consume some people's entire budget for a lifetime. Baby, we can't live here, it's too expensive. Furthermore, you'll grow fat if you eat too much. But Zoe's eyes reddened. How about we go there for a day and then choose a place to live? Really? That's right, and we can visit from time to time in the future. Pinky promise, Zoe stretched out her little hand. Pinky promise.